I'll first of all start by welcoming all of you to today's session. And I am Aishwarya Saran, who is going to moderate the session for the day. And I'm really thrilled to have you here and to have this conversation with you, Sid, about converged data platforms and agentic AI. And today, just for the audience to know you better, today we have Siddharth Poddar joining us, who brings an incredible 20 plus years of experience in procurement, digital transformation, and strategic value creation. And now, as Chief Product Officer at Polestar Analytics, he is leading the enterprises into data analytics, AI, and agentic AI excellence with one platform. Thank you so much for taking the time out, Sid. This really means a lot to us and really looking forward to the conversation ahead.
Thank you so much, Aishwarya, for having me here. And thank you to all the participants for joining and taking 1 hour out of your busy schedules and listening to us. Thank you again. Very, very happy to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The pleasure is all ours, Sid. So, with that being said, I'll get into it. The very first thing which comes to my mind whenever we talk about technology is there are so many jargons and buzzwords floating around, because of which sometimes to catch those buzzwords, we sometimes forget the basics. So let's start there. So my
Yeah.
first question to you would be, what exactly is a converged data platform?
Okay. Okay. So Converged Data Platform is a relatively newer term. Okay. It sprawled probably a few months back, okay, into common parlance, but the concept has been in place for a long time. So when the cloud hyperscalers started doing business, right, sometime 15 years back or so, when they became very, very predominant, okay, most organizations started jumping onto bandwagon and went onto with one cloud. But then they realized that some clouds are more suitable for supply chain, some clouds are more suitable for sales platforms. Then different vendors came up with their own cloud as well, or private clouds, as you call them. And then slowly organizations started to getting very diversified, or distributed data platforms started to come, where some data is residing into Azure, some data is established into GCP. On top of that, they have Databricks as well. I have a customer that has all five, all three hyperscalers, Snowflake and Databricks, all five. Okay, making it extremely distributed systems. Now, if you want visibility into any data type, you have to go into multiple systems to get a complete picture. And that's where, to solve that problem, the concept of converged data management platform started to come up, where uh, most it will highly recommended if you bring all the data together, but it has the entire data infrastructure at a single place. Basically, it has the storage, it has all the ingestion pipelines, all the transformation pipelines, it has data governance in there, it has the entire lineage of the data, as well as it has all AI ML capabilities. Everything is built into a single platform for you. So people don't have to run around and find data across multiple places. For organizations who cannot move a lot of data, some organizations do a slightly, they don't move the data as data storage, but they use metadata registry to at the data reference layer at the lowest level, so that you understand where the data is actually stored. But a converged data platform not just does this all that governance and tracking for the data, it also adds a fundamentally an element of monitoring, notifications, error logging, etc. across all the pipelines. Because data is never static, data continues to evolve on a periodic basis, right? Every day, every minute, every hour, depending on different type of use cases, data keeps adding. So you want those pipelines to continuously run. So monitoring, notifications, etc. also get added at one place. And then there is a challenge which organization face is about deployments, because many of the time you create a pipeline in dev environment, then you have to test it, then you have to move it to prod or to QA environments, and then prod. All of that activity has to be enabled through a CI/CD workflow. So a good CDMP incorporates that as well. So collectively, the entire data stack from one place where data is created till the time the data is actually used with all the governance policies created. That enablement is done via a platform called CDMP, or Converged Data Management Platform. If I have to summarize, I think there are three things that a CDMP can does. It simplifies the orchestration. That's one of the most important part, where people don't worry about whether Google pipeline ran or not, or was Azure pipeline ran or not. Second thing it does, it eliminates tool sprawl, or makes the tool sprawl invisible to the end user. End user is not worried that how many background tools are there. Okay, there is a single platform that I'm using. Behind the scene, there may be multiple tools. And third, it helps businesses add data to value. Okay, that journey from using the data into anything meaningful gets accelerated because they have visibility to the complete organizational data landscape and not just to a portion of it. Obviously, governance policies are there to make sure wrong data is not in the wrong hands. But other than that, people in suitable profiles have access to all the data. So that is what the definition of converged data management platform is. And again, as I mentioned, some purists can come back and say that though that piece is very critical or this piece is very critical. But as long as you have all of your data story in one single stack that you can refer to consistently, I think that is what a CDMP definition is for me.
Absolutely, Sid. And I also believe, like, since we have been talking about how people have different perspectives towards how they approach the data, it also depends on where they are, which you will obviously, that would be one of my questions in the later stages of the
Okay.
webinar. And with that being said, how I see it is that um, it's never static. Data can never be static because your needs and your wants changes
Correct.
with what data you have. And with that being said, talking of not being static, in the tech world, agentic AI has taken everybody through,
Yeah.
right? Everybody wants to know about it, everybody wants to implement it too. But with that being said, there's also very deferred meaning for the people in the industries. So when we talk about agentic AI, what do you really mean by it?
Okay. Okay. Now, excellent and very, very relevant question. And it is surprise, right? After almost 1 year of agentic AI taking market by storm, we are still talking about the definition. And it is needed because most people understand and interpret it differently. Okay. So I would say that before we talk about agentic AI, we should talk about the distinction between agentic AI and AI agents. Okay. There are two very different concepts. AI agents has to be understood first. AI agents are AI applications or softwares, okay, or pieces of code that are able to access your data, reason based on that data, and suggest you actions. Okay. So AI agents, when I'm calling, then the reasoning part is manifested. It is important that AI agents have some reasoning capability in them. But when I talk about agentic AI, that does not necessarily mean that it constitutes only of AI agents. Agentic AI, the term means we are giving AI the agency to take action. Okay, that was the reason. It doesn't mean that a combination of 5 agents automatically becomes agentic AI. So for any problem statement, when you create a business process flow where you give a problem or a goal to a AI system or agentic AI system, and it has the tools, data access, capability, business processes all integrated into one, so that it is able to understand the full landscape of activities, full problem statement, has access to the right data, has access to the right tools to reason what needs to be done, and can make a recommendation. So that agency of decision making or recommendation making, I should say, agency of recommendation making is important for agentic AI to work. I'll take an example. Okay. So let's take uh, a warehouse manager. Okay. A warehouse manager is there. Okay. They frequently struggle with the problem of over inventory. Okay. That one of the widgets was there. That widget is now sitting in that warehouse space for last 3 years and not moving at all. Okay. In a world where agentic AI did not exist, okay, it was the responsibility of the warehouse manager to go figure out what is the overstock quantity that I have and how do I deplete it. Then they will have to coordinate across multiple team members to figure out what to do with this excess inventory. But in an agentic AI environment, when I give that agency of decision or recommendation making to the AI systems, then I give it a goal. Deplete this inventory from 100,000 widgets to 10,000 widgets in the next 3 months. Okay. And give me a plan. Now the agentic AI system will use multitude of agentic AI agents, or it could use simple mathematical formulae, or it could use simple queries, SQL queries, in order to figure out what is the overstocking for. Okay, what widget is it? Is there any prediction for it to be sold in the next 6 months to 1 year? If not, what has worked in the past? Okay, what pricing did we put it in the past? Is the pricing competitive or not? What type of promotions can we run on this particular widget? Which channel will this widget sell? Who is the key salesperson who is managing that channel? Okay. And then creating a proposed plan for me that said, if you want to get rid of this inventory from 100,000 to 10,000 in the next 6 months, here is the plan of action. We need to run this promotion in this particular channel. Steve needs to be informed about it. Here is an email that you can write to Steve about this. And this is the pricing price point that we will do. And here is the depletion curve that in month 1 we will get rid of this much, month 2 we'll get rid of, and if this does not work, then I will increase the promotion to this much, and I have made sure that we don't lose money on this, and so on. That entire plan can be created by an agentic AI system. Now it will have some components that are AI agents, some components that may not be AI agents. But collectively, an agentic AI system will be able to give you a holistic, comprehensive plan that meets your goal or target. And that is what my interpretation of agentic AI is. Okay, does that help?
It does, but with that, there's a small doubt,
Okay,
and I think so many of us have that. Since you said that agentic AI systems consist of both agents as well as non-agentic systems,
correct.
that means it'll also consist of RPA. So, if
Okay.
somebody only has RPA, would you consider that agentic in nature?
So very, very good question. And one of the most common questions I get from my customers as well. Okay. So if I talk about, there is a distinction between agent and an AI agent. Okay, people automatically assume that agent is an AI agent. My personal thought is there are AI agents and there are MI agents. MI agents are mathematically intelligent agents. Okay, so you can have agent of two types. Doesn't necessarily that agent has to be intelligent. Okay, it's like team members. We have team members in our organization. Not every team member is a PhD. Some team members are admins, some team members are researchers, some team members are very good at pricing, some team members are very good at coding. Different team members have different skill set. Not every team member needs to have the same set of skills or reasoning skills. That is the same concept in agentic AI. That when I'm implementing agents, not every agent needs to be AI agent. Some agents are artificially intelligent, okay, like with reasoning capabilities. And in my systems of agentic AI, there may be an opportunity for an RPA to be one of the agents, like the example that I was talking about, right? That inventory depletion. Suppose I ran a promotion, okay, and that promotion was super successful, better than what I anticipated. I was targeting 90,000 widgets to be depleted, and the promotion was so successful. I need 20,000 extra widgets now because the sale has picked up. I will not say no to the sales. Now I will have to figure out where do I get the extra 20,000. And I realize that one of the other systems, okay, sorry, other warehouses has the 20,000 widget extra in over inventory. And I want to do a stock transfer. I don't need an AI agent to do that. I can do a stock, I can call an RPA that will trigger a stock transfer request and fill out the stock transfer form. And using WinShuttle or something that will get imported into SAP and get executed. So RPA can find a place in my agentic AI workflow as well, provided it adds significant value to that business process. Because AI agents again are extremely expensive to operate or can be extremely expensive to operate. If RPA can does that for cents, why am I going to spend $20 to do that same activity? Okay. Hence, in my agentic AI definition, RPA do play a role. They can definitely be part of the process as an agent, not necessarily AI agent.
Perfect. That gives a lot of perspective to how we see agentic AI as a system, as well as how we see agents as well as AI agents. So that
Okay.
distinction, I think, so was is very important to be clarified
Mhm.
because having the basics clear is literally the first thing. With that being said, coming to the question of the hour, now we understand what agentic AI is. Now we understand what converged data platforms are.
At least my definition
But
of it. Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, when we bring these two worlds together, so why do we see that why are these AI agents still struggling without a converged platform? Why are AI agents struggling without a converged platform?
So this has been highlighted by various research organizations, right? Forrester, Gartner, McKinsey, MIT. There are so many publications that have published that somehow agentic AI is not picking the right traction in the market. Agentic AI POCs are failing. And that is primarily because the data is not centralized still, or at least the understanding of data is not centralized still. So we have a product called One Platform, right, which consolidates metadata from different platforms. All Databricks, Snowflake, GCP, AWS, Azure, everything can come into a single place. At least the metadata registry is created. That is the starting point for any agentic AI system. And if you try to deplete or you try to implement any agentic AI system without that complete metadata registry, the result of the agentic AI workflow will always be suboptimal. I will go back to my example of inventory depletion, right? If I wanted to create an inventory depletion workflow that in 6 months, how do I deplete it? In the absence of a complete metadata registry, what will happen? My agents or AI agents will not have access to pricing data because pricing data was sitting in some other system. They may not have access to my promo data because promo data was sitting in some other system. They may not have access to shipping data because shipping data is available in some other system. What they have is probably a sales forecast and an inventory forecast. Based on that, they will know that this material is going to be overstocked for the next 3 years. Okay, and there is no visibility. And they can also pinpoint to the warehouse manager that this material is at high risk of not being sold. But they will struggle in giving me a plan because they don't have the data to give me a plan, right? If I if and only if I have a converged data platform, then I have access to the pricing data, that at what price point did it sell. I have access to the promo data, what promotions worked in this channel. Okay. If I have access to shipping data, then I understand that I'm going to get more inventory for this particular widget in the coming weeks, and I need to plan for that also. And once a converged data platform provides all of these data points, then an agentic AI system is able to access those data points and create a full story for me and make me more productive. Otherwise, it will be like a team member. So we all say to team members, right, that don't bring problems to me, bring solutions. Okay. But in the absence of a CDMP or converged data management platform, any agentic AI system will also bring you only problems. That I see that you are going to be overstocked. Yeah, wow, I did not know this before, but now you dumped one more problem at me. How do I solve it? That solution is important for an agentic AI system to propose as well. And for that, and it's very capable. For it to be able to propose that solution, it needs access to the data. And for access to data, it needs the CDMP. And hence, in my opinion, it is essential for an agentic AI platform to succeed to have complete data access, or at least complete metadata registry access that understands where what data is residing and being able to go and access that data and take actions based on that. I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. It does. And how I see it is that without unified access, your orchestration breaks down.
Mhm.
So the bottom line of all of this is that converged platforms is and are necessary for a matured agentic AI initiative.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
right. And with that being said, since in the start of your answer, you said that you have seen a lot of, while implementing this, a lot of customers come to you with their problems, and you see that there are issues with data or maybe issues with how they approach it. So, what problems does a converged data platform solve for AI adoption per se?
So the same, right? For AI adoption, right? Adoption. So let's take RPA an example. Okay. When RPA started, it was 20 years back. RPA started being the very rudimentary form of RPA were VBA macros. Okay. People used to write macros to do their jobs. Then slowly, better technologies came to do that RPA. But RPA did not solve an end-to-end problem for me. Okay. And RPAs were a process to expedite what I was doing on a daily basis. Okay. I used to take 7 hours. Now I can do in 2 minutes. Great. But rest of the activities pre-RPA and post-RPA were supposed to be done by me only, okay, or a person as well. Therefore, RPA adoption kind of it gave a patchy implementation to my business problem. Okay, it made me a little bit more effective or efficient, but the main purpose of solving complex problems relied on the human beings itself. So rather than making the process smoother, they actually added one more step in my business process, causing friction for me. Earlier, I could do everything on my own Excel file, prepare my report and do activities. Now there is an RPA that does, I have to click on that button. It will run, it will import the data into some other format, then have to validate that data and do. Many people found that very confusing, okay, because they could not rely very comfortably on the output of that RPA. And there was a trust issue. And that process, when it broken, it lacks adoption. Therefore, people abandoned RPAs in between them. There are many organizations that did an RPA, tried it for a few months and then abandoned it. Some still do it. Great for them if they're able to make it work. Same thing is happening with AI adoption. Without a full story business process being automated, if I'm doing partial agentic AI, like I give with an example, you are going to have
Right.
100,000 over inventory is going to become 120,000. Awesome. Now there's one more problem for me to solve for. It's an important problem for me to solve for, but since it did not solve the problem for me, it just gave me another problem. My adoption is going to be very patchy. I don't want another system keep telling me I have 60 different problems. Or even if it is solving a problem for me, but it's solving only a partial problem, that here are the promotions that ran. Okay. But I can't tell you that which promotions will be successful. Then it is giving me another job. Now I have to figure out as a warehouse manager which promotion will be effective. That's not my job profile. Okay.
Right.
Now I will have to set up a meeting with somebody from sales or pricing team to figure out which promotion will be useful for this. That's another role for me. But imagine a world where the promotion list was prepared by AI. AI also gave me that this promotion will be successful. Now the meeting that I'm going to have with the pricing team will be so much more effective. I don't have to spend 3 months having that conversation. I need to have a 30-minute conversation. This is an output from an AI. Looks like these promotions have been successful. Do you think you want to run these promotions? And sales team might also come back and say, that sounds great. If they want to redesign the promotions, go ahead. It's their prerogative. They can go ahead and redesign the promotion. But from my warehouse management role perspective, I am not overstepping my boundaries. My job was to plan for my inventory, which I did. I set up a session with some team members. I was able to tell them, here is my proposed plan recommended by AI, and the adoption will automatically start improving. So as long as AI is
Absolutely.
solving the full stream of problem statement, a complete business workflow, the adoption will be great. If it is not solving the full problem, it will cause friction, multiple steps, multiple break-in workflows, adoption might be impeded. That's how I think of it.
Absolutely. So my 2 cents on it, how
Mhm.
I see it, um, these platforms transform AI from isolated tool to integrated intelligent ecosystems, because
Mhm.
now you don't have five different touch points to look into. It just brings everything to one place, and from
Correct,
there you
correct.
can go ahead with what you have to do. So
Absolutely. It
with
gives
that
me the
being
full picture. It gives me the full picture. Right? Imagine seeing only part of the
absolutely.
picture and then figuring out what the puzzle is next. Like people of Game of Thrones who are following that, they are still waiting for the next book to come, and they are still waiting. Imagine if the full series is available, then you can see the full picture, what happened in any activity, right? That business process visibility is important, and that gives you rise to adoption.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, now the major difference which I see, or rather the question which we have, is how does these platform make AI smarter or more agentic?
Okay, so your question is, does Converged Data Management Platform make AI smarter or agentic, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Or more agentic.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So I personally don't think that having a converged data management platform makes AI smarter. Okay. Because I think it makes it more agentic. That is definitely true. So let me elaborate a little bit. Having access to the right data. Okay. And by right data, I mean data that has good governance built into it. Okay. It cannot be just dump everything into a agentic AI system. The data always needs to have row level security, role based access controls, all set up. Governance policy needs to be there, ensuring that even AI doesn't have access to all the data that it shouldn't have. Okay, in a particular context, it needs to have only select data, and that is very easy now. In platforms like One Platform by Polestar Analytics, very easy to set up data governance. Platform like Unity Catalog, phenomenal way to set up that governance process. Okay, cataloging and governance is easier now than it was 5 years back. So once it has access to the right data, okay, then it makes the agency part much more easier. If I have access to the right data, I can figure out what problem statement you have. I can reason with several LLMs. I can use LLM as a judge to identify what is the right LLM to solve this business problem and come up with the right tools that I need to call. Okay. And once I have the right tools at my disposal as an agentic AI system, I can come up with an answer, and that answer will make the business process smarter. So the converged data management platform does not itself make the organization smarter. I can have as much data as I want, but if I'm not putting the right agents in place, am I not putting the right agentic workflow in place, it is not going to make anybody smarter. Okay, like Power BI dashboards or any dashboard for that matter did not make anybody smarter. What made people smarter was their ability to interpret that dashboard. Correct? There are organizations that have hundreds and thousands of dashboards. Does not mean that those organizations are working smartly. Okay. If people are able to read and interpret those dashboards, then that dashboards are then there's then that intelligence is making people smarter. The same concept applies here. The converged data management platform will improve the agency of the AI workflows that I have created, and by virtue of that improved agency, they will help me become smarter. So there is a very important aspect that from CDMP to smartness, there is a workflow in between, which is the agentic AI workflow that needs to be embedded before we jump into smartness.
Absolutely. So basically, what this means is that convergence empowers the agentic behavior,
Mhm.
which produces smarter outcomes later.
Correct.
That's
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
that's a great perspective to
Mhm.
have. But with that being said, now that we understand how to reach there, we also need to understand how we can build these platforms for our organizations, correct?
Okay.
So, what are the building blocks of a converged data platform?
Okay. So for a converged data platform to work or convert data management platform to work, I see that as having three important layers. Okay. The first layer it needs to have a data reference layer. Now, some organizations want to move data into a central place, like adopting a great converged data platform like Databricks, right? Bringing all the data at one place. Others who don't want to move a lot of data can use a platform like Polestar Analytics, one platform, okay, where data doesn't need to move, it can reside wherever it is, but a metadata registry is created. But that referencing of data, what data is available, what schemas are available, what tables are available, what column names are available, what is the data dictionary, okay, what is the data type, all of these important information has to be, there is a central registry needs to be created for everything. That data reference layer is important. Then on top of that data reference layer, you need to put governance in place, that for a particular persona, for a salesperson, what are the important attributes that they should have access to? For a sales agent, for an administrator, what are the persona or important data aspects you need to have? That governance needs to be built in. Once I have access and right data governance and right data lineage available, then the second part comes about data enrichment. That's the second layer, data enrichment layer. Now I have to enrich that base data with better machine learning algorithms. Okay, like bit better. It doesn't have to be machine learning. It could be simple statistical calculations to be done. It could be flags to be created. It could be filters to be created. All of that data enrichment needs to be created to make that data usable for me. Okay. Once that part is done, then we move on to the third layer, which becomes the interaction layer. And that is very important. I can have the best quality data platform available, but if I don't have the right engagement layer for the end user, users are never going to be able to use that information. Okay. So that interaction layer or engagement layer needs to be created, which has the right amount of visualization, which has the right amount of user experience. That when a user logs in, if a business user is logging in, and I'm dumping 1,000 rows in front of them or 1,000 columns in front of them, okay, they are going to get overwhelmed. So that visual layer needs to be created, that I have these 7 data products for you. Which data product are you interested in? They'll say customer 360. Great. Go into customer 360. Here are the attributes of a good customer. Here are the attributes of customers that are available with me. These are the products that the customers are purchasing, and so on. Building a story for them where they can interact with the data is a very important part of a converged data management platform as well. And collectively, this will give an experience that a customer will use. Our focus in a converged data platform is not to make a platform as a theoretical exercise. That's never should never be the objective. Objective should always be to build a platform that will be used by the end user. So put your end user in mind before you start creating on a CDMP journey.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's such a good perspective to have, because often when we talk about tech, we mostly get strangled in the initial data journey of
Mhm.
it, whereas, and because of that, we forget what our customer actually wants and how do we make their lives easier.
Okay.
Because at present we see two personas, right? We have tech persona who's taking the tech problems into consideration, but by the end of it, it's all about making the user journey easier and possible.
Mhm.
S- So with that being said, talking of journey, what's a typical journey from siloed systems to a converged platform?
Okay. Okay.
How do
No,
you see it?
very good question, Aishwarya. So the journey is not an easy one. Okay. Most organizations think of it as a multi-million dollar transformation. Okay. And that almost always scares me personally. Okay. Because I see all of this converged data management platform journey as incremental and not monumental. Okay. So if you think of it as a monumental project, that it's going to be a 3-year roadmap for us where we transition from this place to this place, and then people will find Eureka at the end of 3 years. Uh, there are very less likelihood that it will be successful in terms of implementation. If you want to make it really useful, start incremental. Like when we are talking about siloed data, okay, there is, which business unit are you talking about? Which business function are you talking about? Are you talking about supply chain? Are you talking about sales? Within supply chain, are you talking about procurement? Are you talking about inventory management? Are you talking about network optimization, logistic network optimization? In sales, what are you talking about? Talking about pricing, promotion, assortment? Depending on each, pick a use case, pick a function, and first try to do a POC. With regard to that POC, can I bring all of my data together or not? Because remember, like I told previously, bringing data together is only part of the problem. First, you bring the data together into metadata registry. On top of that, you enrich that data. And then on top of that, you create visualization or interaction or agentic AI systems. Once you finish that entire journey from end to end, okay, and have proven the success of it, because every organization is different. Organizations are not static entities, they are organic entities. They behave in a certain way, people adopt in a certain way. What works for one particular $100 billion company may not work for another $100 billion company, because organization involves people have preferences. So you need what template structure for a from a consulting company may not get implemented across the board. You need partnering with certain partners who are able to understand and adapt to your specific culture or your nature of an organization. Okay, people who are agile in their thought process, who can adapt their methodology as soon as they observe that okay, this is not going to work. They need more handholding, and providing more handholding, or they need less handholding. I don't need to spoon feed. That adoption approaches needs to change, and hence I see this CDMP journey needs to be very smaller in scope. That start with a small business use case, do a proof of concept, and not just that proof of concept by bringing data together. Bring the data together, enrich that data, implement that into an agentic AI workflow, improve the life of at least one person in your organization, where they come back and say, this is mind blowing. Once that journey has been completed and the proof is seen that this person's effectiveness and efficiency both have improved drastically, we are able to do things that we could not even imagine. Then you know that the blueprint is ready. And once that blueprint is ready, then you start implementing at other places. More functions can come. It becomes a pull rather than a push. If you try to push that, no, you have to implement AI, people are going to find 100 reasons not to push, not to adapt. We face that internally in our organization as well, right? We do product development. We extensively use AI platforms to do data engineering, to do coding. Otherwise, we'll not be that effective. The reason we are most cost effective than many of the other competitors, okay, out there is because majority of our development is happening using AI coding. And that AI coding enables us. The adoption was slightly patchy in the beginning. People were hesitant to use those AI tools to do code development. But slowly, when they start seeing that it is not resulting into job losses, but it is resulting into productivity increment, we put the right incentives in place to incentivize our team members who are adopting AI. Okay, not a single person got let go because of AI adoption. Actually, we were hiring more because we can do more. We are adding modules to one platform every day now. Okay, there are so many amazing things we can do. There are more features that we can implement. So the power just gives me goosebumps of, if done correctly, it can transform the way you operate. And that goosebumps needs to get transmitted into a single workflow or a single business user. And that business user becomes your champion. Guys, this is amazing. We are not sitting on over inventory ever. We are not sitting on low inventory. Before that inventory is expected to get low, systems informs me that inventory will be low, does a stock transfer for me, does a production plan changes for me, makes me a recommendation, tells me about what promotions to run so that I can redistribute sales across different assortments or different SKUs. That is amazing capability. We never had that visibility. That brand ambassador will help you increase that adoption more. So think of it as a crawl, walk, run approach, where you are initially crawling, finding small use cases, implementing those use cases. So you are walking, okay, getting momentum going, and then you can start running. More and more people will come onto that journey. That's how I see a good CDMP journey needs to begin for organizations. Correct. It involves platform and it involves a consulting partner that can adapt to your needs as well.
Right. How I see it is that it's both are two sides of the same coin. Even if you have the technology and you don't know how to use it, it's of no use. And if you know how to use it and you don't have the technology or the right partners for that, then also like it becomes a two-way sword. And the thing which resonated the most with me is the fact that now we are not only talking about enabling our tech citizens, we are also talking about making citizen development through low code, no code, like you mentioned about one platform, and how it makes our lives easier because you have everything at one place at the end of the day. So you don't need to jump here and there, and that's what converged data platforms are all about. And with that being said, it's not only the big bang approach which always wins, which unfortunately is the biggest misconception which our industry has, but sometimes you have to, not sometimes, you have to learn to crawl before you run. So that's something which resonated the most with me. With that being said, Sid, you must have come across many misconceptions that people follow through or they have about such things. So, what are the practical challenges or misconceptions that you come across?
Okay. So the misconceptions that I have seen, I will break it into two parts. Okay, there are misconceptions regarding data platform itself, and there is a certain whole plethora of misconceptions regarding agentic AI. Okay? So if I talk about first misconceptions regarding data platform, okay, most organizations' first starting point is when you talk about a converged data platform to them that, hey, do you have converged data management platform? Do you think about it? Their first answer is yes, we have it. Okay. And then when you probing their understanding of a converged data platform, so it's not a technical challenge. I think it's a behavioral challenge. The first problem statement becomes that people do not understand necessarily that what does CDMP mean. Okay? They interpret it as having access or having knowledge about what data resides in what system is convergence. That's not convergence. That's just information. You have information that this, if I have to access this information, I have to go to AWS. If I have want to access this information, that is available in my Snowflake, and that system is available in my third party Coupa system for my procurement. Just having that intelligence or information is not necessary. That's not convergence. Bringing that entire metadata into a single platform, that is convergence. That understanding itself takes a few months for people to understand, because the challenge becomes, if your data is not centralized or understanding of the data is not centralized, then agentic AI has very limited capabilities to action on that information. Okay, not every third party system gives you seamless access to their data. They may, now they have started to expose agents of their own, that if you want to access my data, talk to my agent. But that was not the scene 6 months back. Okay, even today, not every platform has their own agents. You have to connect to via some APIs to pull that data. Okay, or you have to connect via some APIs to take action in that platform. But awareness that what APIs exist, somebody has to code that, somebody has to make me aware of that. That understanding is lacking in the industry today, at least in many organizations. So that soft skill challenge or communication challenge is the first one that I face in convergence, that people need to understand what it means for their organization. So conceptual and organizational challenges are important. You can also call it an organizational challenge, right? Because IT teams necessarily are the single focal point for that information. So working with the IT team into building that CDMP, business needs to be in the driving seat there to talk to IT that this is important for me. I cannot rely on having reach out to you to be able to tell me where my data resides. You need to bring and centralize all of that data into a single place, okay, in order to get it, so I can move on with my agentic AI implementations. So that's the first part of it for convergence. The second challenge when it comes to agentic, okay, implementation, I would say the biggest challenge is understanding of that agentic AI. Again, very similar to convergence, right? Agentic. And we started our conversation with that, right? People do not necessarily understand that what agentic AI system mean. I do not claim that I understand it very, because again, everybody's understanding is slightly differently. My understanding, which I'm learning on the fly as well with the implementing different organization, it keeps evolving, and that's perfectly fine. Currently, the structure of my understanding of agentic AI is that it constitutes of AI agents and not so intelligent agents as well. My objective of an agentic AI system is going to be, am I able to achieve an objective end to end, okay, without touching any system, without any manual intervention? I do need a human in the loop, but that human in the loop needs to come at the end to review my recommendation. Okay, but the recommendation development needs to be completed by the agentic AI system. And for that, I need an assortment of different business workflows. And my advice to all business users who struggle with this thought process of what an agentic AI is to sit on a piece of paper, okay, sit with a piece of paper and map out everything that you are doing, okay, in form of agents. Don't worry about intelligence, okay. Just worry about, can I plot my business workflow in terms of agents? Okay, let's take another example. Let's take procurement, okay, purchase order. If I have to issue a purchase order to a vendor, okay, can I think of that business process workflow in terms of agents? My first agent will be, what is the material I need? So need identification agent. Second, what is the quantity I need? Second, when do I need? Okay, there are 3-4 different agents that will consolidate and give me my need. The second part will become contract identification agent. Is there a contract that exists? Is there an approved vendor that exists? Is there a particular item I need to buy? Is there a particular price point I need to buy? So vendor compliance agent, item compliance agent, price compliance agent, contract compliance agent, all of that simple. I'm not talking intelligence right now. It could be a simple query to a system and finding it out. Okay. But I am thinking of it as an agent. The second part becomes, okay, creating a purchase requisition. Now it could be a simple task of an RPA that I have updated everything into an Excel file, and RPA can run and create using Windshuttle, create a purchase requisition ME21N into SAP. Okay, and that requisition gets created. For me, it's an agent, purchasing requisition creation agent. Okay, second is purchase order creation agent or flipping agent. Now that agent could be used by procurement teams or operations team to create it into a PO. Okay, then there is a acknowledgement tracking agent. Has the supplier acknowledged what it did? Okay, and then it could be an invoice tracking agent, could be a receipt or delivery tracking agent. End to end, my objective was to get a piece of material when I needed it, in the quantity I needed it, at the price I needed it. Till that job is done, I have to plot my business workflow. And once I have created that activity and in partnership with procurement, then this entire workflow can be automated. And now I can see what are the touch points where procurement needs to manually check, what are the touch points which can be automated. Now, automation can be using RPA, it can be using intelligence or reasoning of an agent, and that's something that is to be worked out. If you don't have good reasoning agent, that's okay. At least automate the part where it can be. Okay. And that is the biggest challenge I see, that people do not necessarily think of their agentic AI in this simple business workflow process. They feel like, I need this material, why is agentic AI not doing it? Because you have not coded it that way. You have not provided the right intelligence to it. We are still a few months, if not years, away from AI being able to plot code everything on its own. That maturity, that trust needs to be there. It will come with time. It is not there today. But till that trust comes, you may have to coach or educate an agentic AI system to be able to understand your business workflow in that regard. Does that answer your question?
It does. And what my biggest takeaway from what you said, Sid, is the fact that it's always tech isn't always the answer. At level 0, you need to understand and you need to make people as well as your technology understand your mind flow too. Because without proper understanding, it's the same thing. If you feed in bad data, you will get bad outcomes, as you have inferenced before. And second takeaway from what you said is that tech doesn't always have to be the latest. It has to be what works for you.
Exactly.
The tech
exactly. Absolutely.
the
No,
tech
like,
should yeah.
it should enable you. It doesn't matter if you have the latest GPT. I can have GPT-5, I can have Sonnet 4.5, I can have any LLM tool, but if I'm not using it appropriately, it is O3 was good enough for me then. Right? I didn't need the latest and greatest tool. So that
Absolutely.
What works for you is more important than what you are using. Okay, people can do wonders with a pencil. Okay, and people they can do amazing with a mobile pen, they can amazing things with a big pen. Okay, it needs to be that what works for you.
Absolutely. And I think so it's a very introspective process in nature. Because before getting to know what you need externally in terms of tech, or maybe in terms of what's happening around your competitors or in the market, it's very important to understand what issues or problems you have or what you need. It's not necessary that what your competitor has, even you need that. You might get the things done with RPA as well.
Correct.
But
and
it's
everybody is
about
in a
having
different
that understanding.
curve, right? Everybody is in a different technology curve. So
Absolutely.
chasing one gold standard, your gold standard could be very different, right? What looks for you in next 1 year, like team members, every team member has a different performance expectations, different performance goals, right? Somebody is starting with a 2-year work experience, somebody is starting with a 20-year work experience. What I want from my job after 1 year will be very different from what you want from your job after 1 year.
And that's what I love about this journey, is the fact that it's very subjective, or rather very customizable in nature too. And that's the beauty of the whole tech world. And to be particular, that's the beauty of how agentic AI truly converges everything together. And with that being said, Sid, I would really like to know that, according to you, what does the future look like when data and AI truly converge together?
Yeah, so that is everybody's utopia right now, right? People assume that utopia will get realized in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Hey, I spent $300,000. Why am I not seeing the result? Okay, so that result will not come tomorrow. Okay, that result, because you are only automating one part, like I was saying in the analogy, right? Crawl, walk, run, that one simple use case will transform you in one way. But imagine that if multiple business units, multiple functions, multiple workflows have been using agentic AI in the true sense, okay, with the combination of AI agents and not so smart agents, okay, but at least workflows that work for you, okay, that people will get significant amount of time to work on actually strategic initiative. Right now, a lot of manpower gets invested into thinking about doing manual tasks. Okay, a lot of tasks. Okay, like for me, my productivity, I think with the advent of chat GPT, etc., I'm a very heavy user. Okay, I use it to reason, I use it to refine my emails, I used to refine a lot of activities now. Okay, or product concepts. When I brainstorm with it, I take care of that hallucination, but improves my productivity. And that frees up my time. And free up time doesn't mean that I have to be busy for that time. Okay, freed up time means I can just think about my business. I can think about other things. I can read more. I can understand the industry more. Okay, and I can enrich myself to be able to better serve my organization. Okay. If I keep on doing every user story has to be handwritten, every user story has to, every QA test case has to be handwritten, my entire product management team will not have time to interview stakeholders. Now they are using a lot of these LLM tools or applications to be more productive. So 3 hours of manual test case writing is done in 5 minutes. They spend that 2.5 hours extra into working and going out into the market, finding out what is working for our organizations. They do their customer feedback, they do their primary research, they do their secondary research. A lot of activities can be done now, and our decision making has suddenly become significantly more informed. Otherwise, it was relied on one or two instances or one or two data points. Now we have 200 data points, which increases our workload, which is amazing, because now the thought process is more nuanced. So when I'm building the roadmap of one platform now, it has 200 customer interviews as an input, which I have to process. And then team members are able to negotiate or work with the LLM to understand that what type of tools will actually make sense. And that is the value add that everybody needs to start thinking. For a warehouse manager, that could translate into something more strategic. Do I need this bigger space to manage? Because I'm being more just in time, because I have better predictability. Do I need this? How do I reduce my inventory carrying cost? Right? How do I, for a salesperson, that could become much better planning of their route, for example. That I don't need to go to 2 customers in a day. I can plan 6 customers in a day because I have a better route planning. That means the touch points that were I used to go to a customer 3 times in a month. Now I can go to them 10 times in a month. That means better relationship. That means better negotiation power. That means better sales channels effectiveness for me. Right? That type of things people will get. It is not creating more work for them, but it is creating more constructive work for them, much more value added work for them. I'm not spending that much more time traveling. That means I'm spending more time sitting in the customer's office now. Okay, that means more customer reach outs are there. And that is how people need to start thinking that this thing, if implemented correctly, is not going to make my job harder or make my job less important. It will make my job much more effective. But I will need the skill set or intelligence to see how do I use it. Somebody who is, if they feel that a product manager, I'll take my example. Okay, a product manager can think my job, I have instead of 8 hour job, I have only 1 hour job now because AI is doing so 7 hours I'm sitting idle. If you decide to sit idle, okay, then that job is definitely destined to become eliminated. Okay, because that for 1 hour job I can ask an intern to do. But if you utilize or find other ways to become effective for that 7 hours that AI has helped you free up, that is the thing that will make you instrumental into building a better business in future.
Absolutely. It's
Okay.
it's all about enabling better decision making to the user who's using it. It's not
Correct.
only about reducing the task, it's also about the enablement which it offers in
Absolutely.
terms, not only in terms of technical terms, but also organizational. Like
Mhm.
you talked about strategy and how now they can actually connect more with their end users, whosoever their end user it might be a customer. You're sitting with a customer knowing more about them or what they need, or it might be some technical person whom you are
Correct,
sitting
correct.
with and working on code with. It's all
So
about
time was
enabling
the
the
only
person and
barrier. So absolutely, no, I'm just agreeing with you that time was the biggest barrier between personalization. Okay, now with the help of AI, you can personalize your services. Okay, you can customize your services. You can change based on the customer need. You can change because you have the right team members available. People often complain, I need 2 more team members. I need 5 new no team members. With the right usage of agentic AI, everybody has 1,000 new team members. What
Right.
you have to decide, what are you going to do with that 1,000 team members? Okay, if you use them effectively, you can deliver custom services to every single customer. And I can do that today. With one platform, if customer says I want this feature to be created in a certain way, I can create that much more easier way now. I don't have to give them a 6 month, 8 month window. I can probably deliver a custom feature to an organization like one of the customer. I can give them to in a couple of weeks. Okay. So that personalization is the
Absolutely.
empowerment that businesses will be able to provide.
Absolutely. So, how I see this,
Mhm.
to just say it in an equational form, what you said means that convergence plus agentic AI equals to machines handling mechanics and humans driving strategy. That's how I
Absolutely,
see it.
absolutely, absolutely. And humans driving strategy plus humans delivering personalization, personalized services
And
and products.
personalization.
That is very,
Absolutely.
and that is what will differentiate us from AI. If everybody does continues to use all their jobs through AI and that personalization is
Mhm.
not there, then those are the people who need to worry. Okay, if you
Right.
can bring a personalized angle to your services or product, you are indispensable to an organization.
Absolutely. It's always about knowing what your customer, whosoever your end user
Mhm.
needs, and pinpointing the service to it and just delivering it.
Correct, correct,
Makes that's what just hits the mark. And the future which you paint for us, Sid, right now, it seems incredible because in that future we have transparency, we have explainability, and we also see true autonomy coming together.
correct, correct.
So, for people who are looking, to embark on this journey, my 2 cents on it would be, it's not about having the perfect setup. It's about taking the first step, learning, and then
Correct.
moving on with what you need and what you want.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
you said a
before,
very, very right term. It's not about having a perfect setup. Everybody can have a perfect setup. How you use that setup that you have is the important part. Like the tools that you
absolutely.
have with some investments, can you improve and make it a end-to-end workflow for you? So that perfection is not in the setup. Perfection is in the way you are using. Oh, wow, 5 minutes left in your meeting. Perfection is the way you are using it.
Absolutely. So thank you so much. We also have few audience
Okay.
questions. We might be able to answer few of them, and for those which doesn't get answer, you can reach out to Sid.
Okay.
Over you can just send your questions to us on our LinkedIn page or maybe email it to us, and we'll make sure that you get your answers. So the first question which we have is, where do you think companies should get started with converged data and intelligence platform?
I think we did answer that question when you spoke about how to get started, right? That I cannot answer it. There's no one size fits all that says you should start with this. Like a business has to decide that what are the biggest pain points that I have, okay? And it's a matrix, for example, right? Ease and value, okay? Comfort and value. So you have to plot it on a 2 by 2 use case, okay? What is the easiest, where I have most of the data and where I'm going to add biggest value? And there it's a balance. If you find that, for example, your financial statement preparation, if that is something where you spend a lot of time consolidating different GLs, etc., and doing a lot of manual
Right.
cleansing, and you feel that I have all the data but it's a lot of manual tasks, maybe agentic AI can help you there, right? Collating data, copying data from 1,000 files into a single file, collating everything, doing consolidation for you, preparing reports, maybe that is the use case. If you feel that procurement is a place where my uh, indirect procurement, order deliveries, etc., is a big challenge for me, where I have to do multiple follow-ups, and I have all the right data in place, and talk to a consulting company who will be able to guide you in that use case. Okay, and then pick 1 or 2 use case and implement it end to end. That's the place where I would strongly suggest that you can start. But that decision has to be taken by you. There is no one size single use case that I can say today that inventory consolidation or inventory depletion is an amazing use case. It depends on how ready your data is.
Absolutely. With that being said, Sid, the next question and my question actually are the
Mhm.
same. What are few signs that any company should see as a tipping point to move towards a converged data platform?
If you are not using agentic AI today, then that's the biggest sign that you should move to a converged data platform. because many organizations are jumping into agentic AI without having a convergence of data. Okay. And while it can be successful in part, okay, you will still not be able to realize the full vision of an agentic AI. Agentic AI can do magic, can literally do magic for you. I've seen that for many, many, many customers now, if you have the right data product or right data platform available. That convergence is
Right.
extremely critical. If you are getting on that agentic AI journey and you think you don't have a convergence data platform, talk to somebody. Talk to somebody before that you can get on that journey. That's a telltale sign that you need it. If your business users, for example, do not have access to self-serve data today, you need a converged data platform. If your business users do not have access to the right data and they frequently complain, I don't trust this data, that is a telltale sign you need a convergence data platform. If your business users, for example, say that they don't have the right data at the right time, they need data daily, but you have a weekly data pool, you need a convergence data platform. That are telltale signs that will tell you that you need a convergence data platform. In modern
Right.
times, in 3 to 5 years, I would say every organization, at least $100 million revenue plus, will need a convergence data platform, because AI is moving at such fast pace. You will not have time to catch up at that time. Your
Correct.
competitors will be able to utilize or leverage this agentic AI power to significantly personalize their services to the customers. And if you want to
Yes.
catch up, you need the CDMP today.
Absolutely. And with that, we have
1 minute
few
left.
more
Yeah.
questions here.
Okay.
But I think so with the time which we have, um, I'm sorry for the people who have posted their questions. Sid will definitely get back to you with the answers. And yeah, with that said, thank you again
Okay.
for sharing your expertise with us today. And thank you everyone who joined us. Your engagement and curiosity really made this session valuable. And if you would like to connect with Sid or learn more about Polestar Analytics, you can definitely reach out to us via LinkedIn page or maybe our website. So yeah, we are there, and thank you so much for taking the time out for us, Sid. It really means a lot. And of course, our audience. This couldn't have been possible without you. Thank you for engaging
Of
with
course.
us. And thank you, Sid, for making it so easier for us to understand.
No,
Because
Shwara, thank you
there,
so much for having me here.
yeah, absolutely. Because right now, what we see is jargon-filled articles or maybe something which is very high level, and for audience, sometimes it gets difficult. And you really made it easy for us to understand. And I'm
Yeah, my
pretty
miss.
sure that this understanding would help our clients and help our audience implement and get to know agentic AI as well as converged data platforms better.
Absolutely.
So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of the session. Stay tuned for more sessions. We have many more lined up. Reach out to Sid in case you want to have a conversation, want to know more about converged data platforms, agentic AI, one platform. We are here to answer. And that's all from my side. This is Aishwarya Saran signing off as your moderator for the day.
Thank you,
And yeah,
Shwara. Thank you
have
for
a good
having
day
me.
ahead. Thank you
Bye.
so much, Sid. Bye, guys. Bye.